Okay. Get this. My sister, she was bragging. And when I say bragging, I'm talking about telling the whole town. Keep in mind she's a liar. Well, she was telling everybody she's marrying a prince. I thought she was full of baloney. But when she starts receiving these anonymous gifts for items that were so expensive and luxurious, what topped it off with the gigantic diamond ring, I couldn't believe it. It was the size of a rock. Guys, here's the story.
Hey guys, I'm 24. I need to share this absolutely unbelievable story about my stepsister Jessica, who claimed that she's marrying a prince. One thing that you need to know about Jessica is that she's an absolute liar. A compulsive liar, some would even say, but she always refused to actually get diagnosed or do anything like that. When she was in high school, a rumor went around that she was pregnant. And she came sobbing one day home, crying to my stepfather. He was super worried about her and went to the school to talk to the principal and ask about who in the world is spreading these rumors. And you know what we found out? Jessica started the rumor herself. She wanted everybody to think she was super cool and even sexually active, but when everyone just started calling her words, she backtracked and played the victim. Well, this is pretty typical of Jessica. There have been instances of stories like this going back to the time she was born. I've always known Jessica to be a liar, we all have. But this story about some prince just completely took the cake. It's more outlandish than anything she's ever come out with before, and I just don't believe her one little bit. It all started a few months ago when Jessica began dropping hints about her royal romance. She'd casually mention her, quote, new boyfriend, who happened to be a prince from a small European country. At first, I just brushed it off as another one of her exaggerated stories. Nobody in the family believes Jessica anymore. But then she starts posting pictures of herself with the Prince Charming. And I'm telling you right now, they were attending very lavish parties and traveling to all sorts of exotic locations together. Even though no one believed her, she was still posting crazy captions on Instagram. And I'm talking the craziest. Well, guess what else? People were coming up to me in the streets almost daily asking if my sister was really dating a prince. I didn't want to outright call her a liar. So, after the third or fourth time it happened, I just came out with the truth. As Jessica's posts gained traction on social media, I could not help but feel curious. I tried to take Jessica's claims with a grain of salt, but the pictures and stories she shared, it just seemed so convincing. Either she had paid some handsome actor to pretend to be a prince, which I doubted. She hasn't had a steady job since she was 16 working at Walmart. Or this was the real thing. A few months later, the news of the engagement reached us. She didn't even bother telling us her own family. She just posted some sort of vague posting on Instagram with a ring on her hand, with no care of how it would impact us, her family. We were bombarded with people who were thirsty for some gossip. Soon, Jessica's engagement to the prince became, well, the talk of the town. Our family was bombarded with questions from friends, acquaintances, and Jessica was revealing in the attention. There were even a few local news trucks camped out on the street for a few weeks. And every time I left the house, they surrounded me and asked for a comment. Everyone believed her. I'm telling you, she would regale us with tales of her fairy tale romance, described in detail how the prince proposed to her in a grandiose manner, completed with fireworks and a horse-drawn carriage. She even started acting differently, as it was kind of funny to behold. All of a sudden, she was acting all princessy, getting her nails done, getting expensive hair treatments. She was clamming up, and her fiancé was paying for all of it. We had not even met the guy yet, but it felt like I knew him already with all the stuff Jessica told me about him. I have to admit, despite my initial skepticism, a part of me was swept away with excitement. The idea of having a prince as a stepbrother-in-law, it was pretty intriguing, I'm not going to lie. I found myself caught up in Jessica's whirlwind of stories and could not help but get drawn into her fantasy world. We would spend hours discussing wedding dresses, centerpieces, and flower themes. I've never been close with Jessica, but I'm a sucker for wedding planning, so we ended up spending a lot of time together. However, as time went on, cracks started to appear in Jessica's story. Some of the details did not add up, and they were inconsistencies in her past stories. At first, she called him by one name and then by another. I called her out on it, but she said that it was just a nickname. But the two names aren't even close to each other. I'm keeping the names to myself for privacy reasons. But imagine it as someone being called Chad and then suddenly just going by Andrew or Onwar or some other completely different name with no relation. As well as that, when I looked closer at the picture she was posting, the guy seemed to change. At first, he was kind of skinny, but then suddenly he was super fit. Only a few months had gone by, so it was impossible for him to get so ripped so soon. I'm telling you, it was two different guys being passed off as one. I eventually started to do some digging of my own, just trying to verify the authenticity of her claims. I searched online for news of the prince's engagement, but there was absolutely no mention of Jessica anywhere. I also reached out to mutual acquaintances who were supposedly present at Jessica's engagement events. But they seemed to be as clueless as I was. I googled the country that she said was where the prince was from, and the internet said the oldest prince of the country was 9 years old. So, definitely not engaged to my stepsister. My suspicions were at an all-time high here, and I was pretty sure that Jessica was weaving an elaborate web of lies. I decided to confront her about it, and that's when things took a dramatic turn. Jessica initially denied any wrongdoing, and insisted that she was engaged to a prince. She became defensive and tried to dismiss my concerns as jealousy or insecurity. This is the time where I usually just leave it alone so that she stops yelling at me, but I couldn't let it go. I knew I had to get to the truth, not just for my sake, but also for the sake of my family's reputation. I could not bear the thought of Jessica's lies causing embarrassment and humiliation to our family, especially when it involves such a prestigious title as royalty. Who knows? Maybe she could have even ended up getting arrested for lying like this. I don't know the defamation laws. Who says she isn't besmirching the good name of this country or something? So, I've decided that I'm going to do some more snooping. I'm going to convince my jeweler friend to take a long look at the ring. It won't be easy to do this without tipping Jessica off that I'm suspicious of her story. I'm going to apologize for doubting her, and then I'm going to invite her to lunch along with my friend. Once he gets a good look at the ring, we'll see how things go. I can already anticipate that some of you are going to tell me to just leave this alone, and that I'm being a busybody, and yes, I am. But I don't care. She can't just keep living her life on a lie like this. It's my family who will end up being shunned in the town if they find out she's pulled all of this out of nowhere. Update number 1. Hey guys, just an update on my sister saga. As you know, I decided to bring my jeweler friend Mark to have lunch with Jessica and me. Mark's a pro at spotting real diamonds, so I knew he'd be able to tell if Jessica's engagement ring was legit or not. I know this wasn't a foolproof way to figure out if she was lying or not. People can afford diamonds even if they aren't princes, but this was the easiest way to just cut through her bullcrap immediately. When we sat down for lunch, Jessica was still acting all defensive and trying to brush off the situation. I pretended that I believed her and apologized for confronting her over nothing, and she calmed down soon enough. As we were chatting, I casually asked her to show us her engagement ring. She eagerly flashed her ring, which was a huge rock that supposedly belongs to her prince. I could see the excitement in Jessica's eyes as she showed off her ring. But Mark quickly jumped in to examine it, and he pretended to be fascinated by the ring, asking Jessica all sorts of questions about the cut, clarity, carat size, you name it. Jessica was eating it up, completely unaware of what was about to happen. When we were alone later, Mark dropped the bomb. He told me that the ring was wearing a cheap cubic zirconia, not a diamond. I couldn't believe it. Jessica had been bragging to everyone about her royal engagement ring, and it turns out to be a phony. I couldn't help but feel a mix of anger and amusement at the situation. It was like a scene straight out of a reality TV show. Now, I don't know if she knows that it's fake and is just pretending that it's real, or if this guy, whoever he is, messing with her too, but I intend to find out. Thanks to everybody who gave me advice on how to deal with the situation. Most people thought that I was just being nosy, as I expected, but a few of you guys actually gave solid advice. I know you guys want to know the name of this guy, the name of the country he's supposedly the prince of, but I can't do Jessica like that. She's full of crap, but I'm not going to put her on blast on the internet. I know how serious you guys can take things sometimes, so I won't do it. Update number 2. Hey, I'm back. Here I am with another update on this unbelievable saga of my stepsister Jessica and her supposed royal engagement. In my last post, I shared how I brought my jeweler friend Mark to lunch with Jessica and I just to discreetly check the engagement ring. Well, after Mark confirmed that Jessica's ring was in fact a phony, I was shocked, but I didn't want to confront her about it, so I just tried to tell my mother the truth, but she did not believe me at first. She thought I was being jealous and trying to ruin Jessica's moment of happiness. It was frustrating, to say the least. I did not talk to her for a few days after that, I'll admit. I know that it might seem like I'm jealous of Jessica's fairy tale romance, but I'm really not. I'm just worried that when she's inevitably exposed for being the liar that she is, it'll reflect badly on our family. It would not be the first time one of our little sisters were made fun of in school for a lie Jessica had come up with last year. She even told everyone that she had been scouted by the FBI and was being asked to lead a team at Quantico. Our little sister came home crying because the kids in their class were making fun of them for having a liar as a sister. We all thought she was having a psychotic episode or something, but then she just started laughing and told us that she had just been joking. This is the kind of thing she does, and this is why I don't believe a word of her little story. However, I did not give up when Mother did not believe me. I'll admit that it hurts that she did not believe me, seeing as we've all had experience with Jessica's crazy stories, but I knew how to prove it to her. I showed my mother the evidence that Mark had provided, including the discrepancies in the ring's design and the quality of the gemstone. I also shared the inconsistencies in Jessica's stories and posts on social media. Slowly, my mother began to realize that something was not adding up. Reluctantly, my mother agreed to investigate further. She wanted to talk with Jessica and ask her to explain the discrepancies, but I quickly convinced her not to do that. I told her that Jessica would just find a way to lie about whatever was going on. And eventually she realized that I was right. That's when we devised a plan. The next time Jessica flies out to meet the guy in Paris, where they've been meeting, Mom and I are going to go with her. We're going to meet the guy and get to the bottom of this ourselves. I don't really know what I'm hoping for here, to be honest. I don't know if I want Jessica to be lying so that I can be proven right, or if I want the guy to be lying to her. Obviously, I don't want her to get hurt by some scam artist or something, but I also don't want her to be lying to us for fun. I'll let you guys know how things go. Update number 3. Hello again. It's been a whirlwind since my last update on my stepsister Jessica's fake royal engagement. After I managed to convince her that there was something fishy going on about Jessica's supposed engagement, my mother and I decided to confront the situation head-on. Jessica claimed that she was flying to Paris to meet her supposed prince fiancé, and she invited my mother and me to join her. We agreed to go with her and see what would unfold. Well, Mom for moral support, and me just to see how the heck things hold up. So, here I am, typing up this quick update from a hotel room in Paris. In just a couple of hours, we're scheduled to meet this so-called prince. Jessica has been on cloud 9, gushing about her fairy tale romance and how she's finally going to introduce us to her royal fiancé that she's told us so much about. It's all very surreal, if you ask me. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around the entire situation. My mother and I are pretty pessimistic, but we're also prepared for the possibility of good news. We've done our research and discovered that there are many scammers and imposters out there who prey on vulnerable individuals with fake stories of royalty and romance. We're keeping our guard up and trying to approach this meeting with a critical eye, but we're both ready to accept this guy if he is what he seems to be. In the meantime, we've been exploring Paris, taking in the beautiful sights and immersing ourselves in the rich culture of the vibrant city. It's been a welcome distraction from the drama surrounding Jessica's engagement. We've been doing our best to enjoy the trip and make the most out of this unique experience. Regardless of the outcome, I've also been overwhelmed by support and encouragement from the community here. Your comments and messages have also been such a source of strength for me through this entire thing. Knowing that there are people who believe in me and my quest for the truth have been incredibly empowering. Thank you for standing by me as I deal with this strange and surreal situation right at hand. As we prepare to meet the supposed prince in a few hours, I can't help but feel, well, a mix of nerve and excitement. Part of me is hoping that Jessica's story will have a happy ending, and that we'll be proven wrong about our suspicions, but another part of me is prepared for the possibility that this prince may not even exist, or that he may not be who Jessica claims that she thinks he is. I'm of two minds. Either Jessica has made this entire thing up, or she's been fooled this guy the whole time. Every question I've had, she's explained away, and I don't know whether that's because she's well prepared or if she actually just trusts this guy just as much as she claims to. I'm determined to approach this meeting with an open mind and a keen eye for details. I'll be looking for any red flags or inconsistency in the guy's story, and I'll be asking probing questions to get to the truth. I won't let Jessica's enthusiasm sway me from seeking the truth and protecting my family. I'll be asking him about the mysterious name change, and also the way his appearance changed in the pictures, and why the ring is fake. I'll ask why there's no record of him in the royal family he supposedly comes from, and I won't let him brush me off. I'm prepared to grill this guy for everything that he's worth, and I mean it. So here's where we stand now. My mother, Jessica, and I are in Paris waiting to meet the supposed prince in just a few hours. I'll be sure to update you as soon as I have more information. In the meantime, keep your fingers crossed, so I'll send some positive vibes my way. Update number 4. I hope you're doing well. Hey everybody. So, it's been an eventful few days since my last update. Jessica's supposed prince fiancé came to visit us, and we're all eager to meet him in person and learn more about him. I'll tell you that right now. When we arrived, well, he was just as charming and charismatic as Jessica literally described him. He regaled us with stories of his royal heritage, and we were all captivated by his presence, and he seemed to genuinely care for Jessica. And I mean it, absolutely genuinely. And they prepared to be a happy couple. He even looked just like the buff picture, though there was still no explanation for the sudden change, and why he looked so different. I was going to ask him straight out, but it just didn't seem like the right time. With Jessica hanging on his arm, I know she would have gotten crazy defensive. It just didn't seem like it would be worth it. And it was never the plan to grill the guy in front of her, just to avoid any unnecessary confrontation. However, as the meeting progressed, my mother and I could not help but notice his family and background, and we could not find any concrete evidence to support any of his claims that he was saying. His explanations were vague and did not quite add up. See, Jessica was in the bathroom at this point, and I'll admit that he probably did not get very much time to answer each question before the next one was absolutely just thrown at him. But he did not have conclusive answers to literally anything, even the weird name change, but he didn't have conclusive answers. He just started stuttering, and my mom interrupted with another question. Jessica was enormed with him the entire time and did not seem to notice the blatant red flags that he was giving off. She was completely smitten and was excitedly making plans for their future together. My mother and I were giving each other so many looks. I'm talking crazy side eyes, but we did not want to ruin Jessica's happiness by confronting her directly about our suspicions. Instead, we decided subtly, just to probe further and gather more information before jumping to any conclusion. We discreetly made inquiries and did some background research on our own, trying to verify the prince's claim. The more we dug, the more inconsistencies we could find, and we discovered that there were no official records of him in the royal family he claimed to even come from. And there was discrepancies in his supposed lineage. Yeah, that's right. Well, as much as we hated to admit it, our suspicions grew stronger that the man was not who he claimed to be. It was a difficult realization to come to, and my mother and I felt torn between wanting to protect Jessica and not wanting to shatter her absolute dreams. Jessica, of course, remained blissfully unaware of our concerns, and she was excitedly making plans for her future with her prince fiancé, and we didn't have the heart to burst her little bubble. Well, it was painful to see her so happy and unsuspecting, but we knew we had to proceed with caution just to gather enough evidence before confronting her. I guess this answered the question about whether or not she's lying or she's been tricked. The way she looked at this guy with so much love was absolutely heartbreaking. She was hanging on to his every word, and she was 100% convinced that he is who he claims to be. It's crazy that someone with such a history of lying for fun has been so completely tricked. I never thought of Jessica as a naive person, but I guess she was. As I write this update, we're still in Paris, and Jessica's still looking forward to her future with her, quote, prince. My mother and I are doing everything we can just to gather more information, and ensure that Jessica is not being taken advantage of. But it doesn't look very good. It's a delicate situation, and we're treading carefully to protect Jessica's feelings while also uncovering the truth. I'll keep you all updated on any further developments, and please, keep Jessica and our family in your thoughts during this challenging time. Thank you for your continued support. Update number 5. Well, things have got a bit crazy, and it's only been a day since I last posted. I never expected things to take such a bizarre turn, but here we are. After my last update, things started to unravel even further with Jessica's supposed prince fiancé. As I continued to try to investigate his background, I received a surprising contact from him directly. I was getting nowhere with my research, so I was glad for the opportunity. I told Mother about it, and she wanted to come, but I told her to stay with Jessica in the hotel so that she did not get suspicious of anything about where we went. He reached out to me through a private message on social media, asking to meet at a café in Paris, claiming that he had some important information to share with me about his relationship with Jessica, and he insisted on meeting me in person. Well, I did agree to meet with him, hoping that I could gather more information to confirm our suspicions about him, and when I told Mother about it, she was a little worried and urged me to be cautious and not reveal any sensitive info. I reassured her that I could handle this guy, and she calmed down a little. She brought Jessica on a spa day to distract her. I said I was going to see the sights. When I arrived at the cafe, he was already there, waiting for me. He greeted me with a charming smile, but I could not help but feel uneasy in his presence. He started by telling me that he was aware of our investigation into his background and that he wanted to set the record straight. Oh boy, that was pretty scary. I didn't know how he had managed to find out, and I was pretty sure that we'd been careful and covered our tracks. Well, I don't know, apparently not quite careful enough. I was scared that he was going to threaten me or something, but he didn't. What he did was in some ways even worse. You see, instead of providing any sort of concrete information, he began to flirt. That's right, making inappropriate comments and gestures about me. You could say that I was taken aback and immediately made it clear that I was not interested and that I was only there to gather info about Jessica's relationship with him. It was disgusting. The way he'd been clinging to Jessica the day before, kissing her in front of everyone, and today he's trying it on with me. It made me feel sick. He seemed pretty unfazed by my rejection and continued to make advances, which made me increasingly uncomfortable, and I just tried to redirect the conversation back to Jessica. But he was evasive and elusive, dodging my questions and barrel rolling, and just changing the subject. I think I tried to change the subject like 10 times, but every time he brought it back just to flirt with me. As the encounter went on, it became clear to me that he was not interested in sharing any relevant information. It seemed like he was trying to distract me and prevent me from digging deeper into his background. I quickly realized I was not going to get any meaningful information from him and that the meeting was going nowhere. I decided to enter the encounter and left the cafe feeling frustrated and confused. Once I got back to the hotel, I immediately shared the details of the encounter with my mother, and oh boy, she was pretty furious. She wanted to tell Jessica, but I convinced her to hold off just for a little. We decided to even be more vigilant in our investigation and take steps to protect Jessica from this imposter. We used a VPN, or something, so that there's no traces of our investigation left. Hopefully. As I write this update, Jessica is still unaware of the meeting and the inappropriate behavior of the man she believes to be her fiancé. My mother and I are doing everything we can to uncover the truth and ensure that Jessica's not being deceived. This has been an unexpected and challenging turn of events, but we're committed to getting to the bottom of this and protecting Jessica's well-being. We appreciate all the support and advice from the community, and we'll keep you updated on any further developments. This whole thing's made me realize that I'm actually a lot more protective of Jessica than I thought I was. When we were growing up, we never got along. I'd find her constant attention-seeking lies annoying, and she'd find my lack of interest annoying. Even as we grew up, her bragging got worse. And to be honest, when this whole thing began, I was pretty sure that I didn't even like her. You can probably tell from my tone in the initial post that I just had no interest in her. I was only investigating this whole thing so that I could get the better of her. But as it's gone on, I've started to get seriously worried. I guess if there's one good thing to come from all this, it's the realization that I do actually love my stepsister, despite all our differences. Update number 6. Final update posted by OP. I wish I could say that things have settled down since my latest post, but unfortunately they've taken a distressing turn. After the failed meeting with Jessica's supposed prince fiancé, things got even messier when he started bombarding me with text messages. We're back home now, thank goodness. We left Paris the day after he tried to flirt, but now he's just moving on to text. He kept pleading with me to go on a date with him despite my clear rejections. The messages were relentless and became increasingly desperate. It was clear that he was trying to manipulate me, and I found his behavior repulsive. I decided to block his number to put an end to the harassment, but little did I know that he would use it against me. He reached out to Jessica and told her that I had flirted with him, seduced him, and convinced him to leave her. Jessica was furious with me and confronted me about it. I was devastated that she would believe such lies, and it broke my heart to see our newly formed friendship strained because of this freak. I tried to explain the truth, but Jessica was hurt and confused, and it was clear that the fake prince have manipulated her emotions. She just wasn't listening to me. In a moment of frustration, I simply lost my temper and showed Jessica all the text messages, proving that I did not initiate any flirting and that the fake prince had been harassing me. It was a difficult moment, but I had to defend my integrity and prove my innocence. you know. Seeing the evidence, Jessica realized that her engagement was fake and that she had been deceived by this imposter. She was devastated and heartbroken, realizing that she's put her trust in somebody who did not deserve it. She ended her relationship with him, and it was a painful realization for her to come to terms with. I mean, she still seemed mad at me, though, like she blamed me for ruining her fairy tale romance, even though I'd only been looking out for her. Despite this, my mother and I were there to support Jessica during the difficult time. We provided her emotional support, helped her with legal aspects, and ensured that she was safe and protected. We were determined to make things right and seek justice for Jessica. I stayed by her side, even when she didn't want me there. I was going to be a good sister. As the truth unfolded, Jessica's anger toward, the fake prince, and she realized that he had been manipulating her from the get-go. She expressed her gratitude to me for showing her the truth, and we were able to reconcile our friendship. We're determined to move forward and support Jessica in any way we can. We're grateful for the outpouring of support from the community and the invaluable advice that we've received. It's been a sobering lesson for all of us, but we're committed to standing up against deception and protecting our loved ones. This is probably going to be the last update, so thank you all for caring about us and sending me such kind messages through all of this drama.
Okay guys, so this story was a little bit different than we're used to hearing. This one had a scam artist and a lover disguised in one. I was reading the comments on this story and it was blowing my mind away. Apparently this sort of thing is very common, where people get taken advantage of, and it's usually elderly people or other sorts of people that aren't just, ready to handle that type of situation. They find themselves falling in love with a complete scam artist. The comment sections were telling me so many times where this occurred. People were posting links of the news and all sorts of stories about how this has happened other times. So guys, have you ever encountered somebody that said that they were something, but turns out they were completely different than what they told you they were? I would love to hear about your opinion on this one, as it was a rather different story than we're used to covering. And if you're new to the channel, my name's Mr. Reddito. We cover stories every day, dramatic stories, inheritance dramas, even Karen and the Wild stories. So stop on by tomorrow, see what we're reading. Guys, have a fantastic night, and I'll see you then. Peace.